Have you ever wondered how those huge companies or brands started? On this episode of Grow Lead Go, we're having our very own Joel Callao, the CEO of Nyxsys. Nyxsys is one of the leading digital media and business solutions providers in our whole country. You know that huge billboard in Guadalupe? That's actually the biggest billboard in our whole country, and they own that. And guess what? He started from nothing. And so in this episode, we'll talk about how he started from scratch, what were the skills that helped him, how he led people, how he pushed for progress, how he developed his own team. We're talking all about that, and we're calling this episode How to Grow from Zero. Hope you enjoy. Hey, welcome to another episode of Grow Lead Go. This is Favor Movement's Growth and Leadership Podcast. We're doing this because we're passionate about developing strong leaders. And we believe that if you invest in your growth, everything around you starts growing. And for today's episode, I'm with the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Mr. Joel Callao, JB Man, Mansueto Callao is your real name, the CEO of Nyxsys, one of the leading business solutions provider in the country. And he's amazing, and he started that empire with nothing. Yes. And so we're calling this episode actually how to grow from zero.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Paul.
Yes, it's an honor.
For all who's watching right now.
Yes, it's an honor to have you, Tito Joel.
It's an honor, the same here.
Yeah, and so that, again, the title of this episode is How to Grow from Zero. And I think, Tito Joel, you have the perfect story and of just how amazing your journey was and your leadership journey is,
yeah,
and how you really built your company from scratch, from zero.
Yep.
Like, remind me, correct me if I'm wrong, you started with very minimum capital, tama no?
Yes, just to open a checking account.
Which was how much?
During that time, it was 25,000 pesos to...
Amazing.
Including the maintaining balance for the checking account.
Super. Yeah, we were having coffee last week, and we were talking about that story.
Yeah.
And now, for context, for all those who are watching, your company now is one of the biggest again, business technology providers in the country. And actually, your LED billboard in Guadalupe, iconic, which Favor Church goes on every now and then.
Yeah.
Is the biggest LED billboard in the whole country.
That's right.
And it's the third biggest in the whole of Southeast Asia.
That's correct.
And you grew all of that from nothing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Well, I think our leaders have a lot to learn from your story of how you really pushed through and you really grew what was entrusted to you. I have a few questions. My first one is, where did that dream or that desire to grow something big come from?
It all started when, of course, in my lifetime, I used to work in corporate. I've been with sales for the last 15 years of my career.
Oh, wow.
And having seen how I grow my skills, and I thought of one day that I can use these skills if I would be putting up my own business. Because I can see a lot of things happening when I was assigned to a certain task, a certain area during my sales career, and a lot of them turn out positive in the context of selling and building relationship with clients.
Yeah, which you're super gifted at, building relationship with people.
I think it's the divine charm.
Like I think you're one of the most you're super charismatic with people, and you're just great with connecting people. So even then, at the time when you were just an employee of another company, you were already observing how things work. And so when did that, can you recall if there's a moment of where you realized, okay, I think I can start something like this?
Yeah, actually it's the passion, it's my drive to really...
Great, perfect.
To really... I think it's one of my inner vows and myself.
Tell me
I want
about this.
to succeed.
Yeah.
I want to prove something because...
which is a blessing and a curse.
I know that if others can do it,
great.
Of course I can.
Great.
And having assessed my skill,
amazing,
my talents, and I believe I can start from somewhere.
Great.
So this is the passion that leads me to venturing to business, because all my life in corporate, I always thought of, if I was able to close that deal for myself,
Yeah.
I would be a lot richer than being an employee. So
Perfect.
it sets
Perfect.
in my mind that I can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
even then, you were
yeah,
already okay. I think I can do this.
yeah. All my life, I was, of course, in college. You, school teaches us to become good employees
Yeah,
and become
great,
employed,
great, great.
but they never taught us to become entrepreneurs. They never taught us to become businessmen in the future.
Amazing. So
So it dawned to me one day that I want to venture into
to
something, and I started very small. And in the beginning, I was telling you the story that I first started with food processing business.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I
That's-
come up with the
yeah,
sardines.
yeah. Started selling it sardines.
Yeah, and it quite performed well
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the supermarkets.
Super.
And
You started selling in the supermarkets,
yeah,
started
and
supplying
I
for
was
them.
able to export also outside of the
Great.
Philippines, and it grew.
Wow.
And something happened that
Super.
made me stop because of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the problem with Natalie Coco.
Right, right. We'll talk about that a
Yeah,
little bit
sure.
later. That's
Yeah,
amazing. But I love what you said about there's always been an inner drive in
yeah,
you, like a passion, and
yeah,
almost like a confidence in you. Like, okay,
yeah.
if they can do it, I can do it too. But what I
Yes,
really got from that is even when you were an employee, and even when you were in college, which you have a great college story, right?
yes,
Even when you were in college, you always had a dream for yourself,
yes,
and you had a vision. You had an inner vow that you wanted to do something big.
yeah,
And I think in leadership, that's so important that you have
yeah,
a vision for your life,
yeah,
and you have a drive that will
yeah,
keep you running to that vision. And I
yeah.
think that's what you have.
Yeah, I believe in that what you have said, Paul. That it was not really spelled out clearly in my time during the time in my younger
Yeah.
years.
So there wasn't a one single moment that it clicked
Yeah,
on you.
but definitely there was a vision. There was a mission that I want to establish in my life
Great. Yeah, yeah,
as I
yeah.
grow old
Amazing.
and look at the horizon in the next 10, 20 years. And this led me to doing it. It's the one who drives me
Super.
to come up with business in
Amazing.
this
So it's
as
really
well.
your passion and your drive.
Yes.
That's great. I think that's very key. If you want to start something big, you
Yeah.
got to have that drive
Yeah.
to actually do it. What are maybe the two things, Tito Joel, that helped you jumpstart your career or your business when you were an employee and you were thinking about, oh, I think I can do this. What were the maybe two characteristics that you had aside from drive and your vision that really helped you jumpstart your career?
Of course, the tenacity
Great.
of pursuing on something, because not all the time is a good time. There's a lot of bad things
Great.
when I first started. And you always have to be persistent in what you do.
So good.
And then at the same time, you have to be watchful on opportunities that is presented along your way. So sometimes most of the time, problems are opportunities for you to
Oh,
convert
that's
it
gold right
into,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so many times there's a lot of mistakes and become problems, and all of them are you can basically see the twist later on if you
Amazing.
will look at it on a positive perspective.
Wow.
That I can turn this problem into opportunity,
Wow.
wherein I can
Wow.
I will use this as my springboard.
Wow.
So
That's really good.
that's one way of looking at it when on the first time, because there were really a lot of problems
Yeah, yeah,
during
yeah,
my
yeah.
first 5-10 years in the business, and of course looking holistically on the internal and the external.
Great.
So there are a lot of times that you really have to learn from every single problem, mistakes,
Wow.
challenges, wrong decisions
Yeah.
that you were able to encounter.
Galing.
And all of these are valuable lessons too.
Amazing. I think that so those two things are tenacity
Yeah.
and then learning from problems.
Yes.
That those two are what really helped you jumpstart
Yeah.
your career. I don't know about you if you're listening to this. This is gold. Like then you are super tenacious, which I wanted to ask actually the next and the fourth question. How did you handle your failures? Now how are you handling failures? But I think that's one key that you really have in your life.
Yeah.
You're super tenacious. Like you won't back down. You won't give up. And I love what you said about turning problems into opportunities.
Yes.
Like most of the problems that you had, you made them into key lessons so that you can really move forward. So I love that tenacity and seeing problems as opportunities. I also think one of the when I first heard your story, one of the things that really helped you jumpstart your career is the boldness that you have.
Yes.
The boldness to just jump on and take a risk, like with when you started your sardines business and the nata de coco, and even with the billboard, it was a huge risk when you started. And I love that. Can you tell us a bit about for context? Maybe tell us a short summarized edition of how the whole billboard company started.
Okay. First and foremost, I have a big appetite for risk.
Yeah, super true, super true.
Um, if I wasn't able to take that risk, I wasn't able to be in this
Yeah.
level right now.
Super.
And in summary, in short story, Billboard was something that I won't say that's accidental, because I resigned abruptly from my previous employer.
Yeah, which you're doing quite well.
Yeah, which I just closed a 300 million deal for them.
And then you resigned.
I resigned because one glitch
Yeah.
happened on that deal.
Super.
So
And they weren't giving you commission.
there's no commission. We were paid on salary.
Oh, my good.
But nevertheless, this led me to putting up a billboard company. During the time, that was 1998 when
Yeah.
I first started business. So I was just doing the broker
Yeah.
thing.
But I think is that like a middleman?
A middleman
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
So then I discovered that I can put up my own billboard.
So you were being a middleman for billboard owners
Yeah.
and then clients. Is
And
that right?
clients.
Okay,
So
okay.
I will sell their properties, then match it with the client. So that's what I do. So finally, I decided to
Start your own.
start my own. So what
But did you have knowledge about?
No, it's practically
Ah,
just everything was a gut feel, Paul.
Oh.
Gut feel. And what I did was just to take pictures of locations and pre-sell it.
Yeah.
Just pre-sell it. So
But you
I
were
put up
taking
my-
pictures of locations
Yeah.
that you had no idea who owned them.
Yeah. Of course, I had to register my
Yeah.
sole proprietorship business under my name, and it started there. I took pictures of locations and pre-sell it to clients. It so happened that one day, one major client, approved my proposal. The thing is, I haven't even talked or even met the owner of the site.
So you basically took a picture of a random site
An
and
heir.
proposed it to a client.
I sold it. I sold an heir.
You were holding nothing.
Yeah,
You
I was
sold it.
holding nothing. Then
And when
they called me.
The client.
The client called me and asked me to draft a contract, advertising contract for 3 years.
With a
And,
picture.
attached with the picture proposal, and I submitted to them. The following day, they signed, and the following day, they gave me the check, advance payment for 1 year, lo and behold, I was holding a 13 million check during that time. It's quite big for me.
And you got that 13 million peso check with just a picture.
With just a picture.
With no idea how to build
No
the bill.
idea. So I have a problem. I have a positive problem.
Okay, what's the next problem?
So the next problem is where to find the owner of that place.
Because you already had the check. Okay, and then you found the owner.
So in the middle of the night, I was scouting the area, and from the vantage point of my camera picture, so this must be the place. This must be the property. Then was checking with the barangays, and was able to find out the owner. And the owner, one of typical rich Chinese couple,
Yeah.
and invited me in the house and met with them. And the first question was, can you really pay
in
us?
Tagalog.
Kaya bang bayaran yung renta?
When you told me the story, it's like, kaya mo bayaran to, boy?
So I was confident because I was
Yeah,
already
you're already
holding a
holding
check. So yes po. I will issue the advance security deposit to you by tomorrow. Okay, just leave the contract, the lease contract, and also leave your picture with me. Picture one by one.
So you left the picture to
so
them.
I was wondering why do I need a picture for a lease contract? Then later I found out that this picture was my picture was subject to feng shui,
Which we don't believe in as a
which
church.
we don't believe is a church, but for them.
Yeah, for them.
Before entering into a contract, they see to it that my stars or whatever was checked on.
Basically, they gave you the lease.
They gave me the lease, and I started having problems again because I had to look for a contractor to put up the structure.
And then you had I think
I only have 2 months.
2 months.
2 months. To
but
put
the
up
standard procedure
is 4 months. So I have to put up the ad because there's a break date for the campaign.
Yeah.
So 24 hours, I was able to find a contractor and put up the first, one of the biggest billboard during
In
that
EDSA.
time in EDSA.
which basically just means that at that time you were already ahead of the game.
Yeah, I was already setting the standard of a size in EDSA,
Exactly.
which was one of the biggest, first time biggest.
And I think at this time, Tito Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, billboards weren't a super huge thing back then.
Yeah,
You basically hopped on it.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about later of how innovation really matters. And then you told me the story. What happened when you built that thing in 2 months' time?
Basically, I just want to please the client and prove to them that I can deliver. So which I pressured everyone in the contractor to really come up with the schedule. I want that
In 2 months.
that ad to be hang on in 2 months' time. So 2 months came, but the thing is the structure's not yet finished.
Then you said,
So I told the contractor, you must hang it today.
sabit
or
nila yan.
else." Sabit nyo yan. Pag hindi nyo sinabit, ako sasabit. So in short, sinabit nila. They hang the tarpaulin.
In 2
during
months.
The photographic
Yeah.
tarpaulin. Can I mention the client?
Maybe not, maybe don't mention the client. And then you had lunch.
And then it was already there, and we took pictures of the billboard and sent it to the client, and the client was very happy because
Yeah, it
we
was there.
came up with the
It's good.
schedule. Then
Got your money.
I took my team and told them, like, come on, let's have lunch. Treat ko kayo.
Nice.
Then we went lunch to Jupiter because the billboard was in Guadalupe, so we went to Jupiter in Bendia, have some lunch, and after lunch, we went back to the office, and it was so
The traffic was so
heavy. Very unusual for that time. 1998, not that
not the traffic, yeah.
at all. So I was surprised that why is it so traffic? So when we passed by the Bendia flyover going EDSA, going northbound, I saw something far from our car that
Was hanging.
what is that tarpaulin dancing in the middle of Ed's?
So what you, what you just built was head was dangling
Yeah,
on Ed's.
the tarpaulin was dangling in
Oh, I
Ed's,
love
and
this story.
all cars, buses stopped, and
And now, so to cut this long story short, that same lot,
same
that same
lot.
lot is now where iconic LED, the biggest LED in our
Yeah.
country, that's now where it
But
stands.
after that problem, MMDA, Makati government, all the
Which is a
gang,
fast track.
gang me up and told me that you cannot do that. So, but it didn't stop me. It
Yeah,
didn't stop
again,
me.
perfect, perfect.
The more that I built a bigger one.
Mm,
So after finishing that billboard,
Yeah.
then I constructed another billboard beside.
Wow.
So I made it two and enjoined them to be the
No,
biggest
now the biggest
billboard,
in
the
EDSA.
biggest billboard.
Amazing. I love how that, as funny as that story is, I love how it really shows how your tenacity was in the works
Yeah.
and how much your ability to see a problem as an opportunity
Yeah.
really helped you grow. I love how even as a mishap, because that's a mishap,
Yeah.
you saw it as like, no, I'm gonna build something bigger. I'm going to use this opportunity. And I think that was a fast track for you to learn about how to deal with authorities because the
Yeah.
M&A were there. I love it. I really love that story.
Actually, Paul, that incident, I make sure I can capitalize on the incident because clients were always telling us, "Is that the billboard that made an accident in EDSA?" Yes, ma'am, but definitely it's much bigger now.
So you use that mishap to become your ace.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's another leadership
there was
lesson
a
of how.
recall. There was a recall for them to remember that incident, and I capitalized that
Oh,
incident
that is
to
amazing.
become a selling point of my billboard for them.
That's a leadership lesson that wasn't in the notes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How to use a mishap to become your gold.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I was about to ask you, how did you handle your failures, or how are you handling your failures? But I think you already answered it. You use it
Actually,
as an
that's just
opportunity
one.
to less. Yeah, because like you told us, the sardines business, it also failed before. But I think you already gave us the answer to it. It's just refusing to give up, which is who you are, and really using every single mistake
Yeah.
as an opportunity to learn.
Yes.
And I think if our leaders, if all of us can learn that, if I can learn that, if I can get that in my spirit, I can really go far in what God has entrusted to me. I think that's an amazing story. I have another question, Tito, though. What were the maybe things or skills that you decided to focus on in your journey as you were deciding to really invest in becoming a better leader? Like,
Yeah.
what were the skills or maybe things that you decided, okay, I want to invest in this?
Yeah. One of the most important investment that I highly consider as part of my leadership growth is really investing on programs or training programs or
Right.
even seminars that would really help me transform.
Powerful.
Transform. When I say transform, it's really something that you would work from the inside and would translate in the outside, and how you deal with people, with
Wow.
organizations, with clients, with in the entirety of the industry.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I really invested on, and I would not really regret not spending on those
Super.
things. And the latest was I was able to find my strengths by investing on the Strength Finder.
Strengths Finder, which we love.
So I invested not only on myself but among the members of my
Great.
management team.
Yeah.
So in that way, I was able to find out the strength of every member of the management team in every situation, every problem that they encounter. I would always use to talk to them on the level of what their strength
Strengths
is
are
all about.
amazing.
So I would always recall to them and bring them back to remember your strength is something like
Great.
this.
Oh, wow.
So you can
Powerful.
handle this situation
Powerful.
because you have this kind of strength.
Powerful.
You have this kind of so people I got to know more how to use the strengths
That they have.
that I have and they have
Amazing.
and come up with results that are amazing for the organization.
Great. So
Yeah.
you really invested on your personal development, which is
Yeah.
basically what this whole podcast is all about. But I
Yeah.
love what you said. You said that you wanted to invest on something that will transform you from the inside,
Yeah.
because ultimately that will affect the whole organization that you're leading.
Correct.
We have this concept in our church where we say we are the lid of the people we're leading.
Yeah.
And so I love your story because it just proves that because you invested in yourself, everyone in your team also started growing. And what you even did was that you just didn't just invest in yourself. You actually started investing in other people. You championed their strengths.
That's right.
I love how funny this is because earlier we were just talking about this in our leadership team of how we should be people who are finding the gold in other people's lives and
right.
championing their strengths, empowering them. And I'm actually quite amazed. That's actually what you did for
Yeah.
your team. That's amazing.
It's very important because as the times are changing, the market is changing. The competencies of the management team has to really increase.
Great.
And one way to do it is I don't want them to look at themselves as managers. I don't want them to look at them as, but I want to look at them as leaders. So I always emphasize to them the difference between a manager and a leader.
Great.
So a manager is something that would really work based on the day-to-day targets, day-to-day accomplishments. But a leader will not rest achieving on those daily things,
Wow.
but something that they would see people building up people, cloning themselves to another people. That in the event in the future expansion, set of leaders would be available.
Wow.
So the leadership that I always impart to them that you don't manage people, you build people.
Amazing. Basically, what you're saying is you want to take over this podcast because that's what you're doing. You're basically rallying everything that you want to rally for. Ownership, so you have that on your team.
Yeah.
Ownership, building people.
Yeah.
And that's we always say that we don't see people as means to accomplish tasks. We want to see tasks as means to develop people.
Correct.
I love it.
I always share to them the truth that I am a believer of people versus process. And process to
Amazing.
me is something that would run effectively if we have great people behind the process.
Oh wow. I love how what this conversation is going for is like because we're just starting in our young adults community. Favor Movement's just starting, but you've been in the industry for decades now.
25 years.
25 years for two and
I'm
a half
old.
decades. And you've seen how these principles work, like how building people work, how developing leaders work, how strengthening
Yes.
your people works, and not just focusing on the tasks.
Yeah.
And I think some of the people watching this, maybe you think that these concepts of like investing on people, building relationship, I think sometimes we assume that that only works for the church. But literally, you're a living proof of how that has helped you build your company and helped you build leaders who are running your company. And now you're just doing amazing in what you're doing.
I am.
Did you say I am? That's confidence. How do you? You said earlier that as time goes on, the competencies of your team they also need to level up.
That's right.
And so I love how you have that knack for innovation and not just innovation, but keeping up to date with how you're developing your people. Can you talk to us a bit about how do you keep growing what was entrusted to you?
I always encourage, instill, and inspire them about creativity.
Wow.
And where creativity leads is being ahead of the game. If you want to be ahead of the game, you need a lot of creativity.
Great.
If you need a lot more creativity, you will be changing the game. You will be a game changer. So I always give them the option, where do you want to be? To be ahead of the game or be
Great.
the game changer? So for me, I would be contented with ahead of the game, but I would be more happy if my people, the leadership that I have grown, would be somebody who will change the game or game changer.
Amazing.
We did that in my time because I was the first one who came up with LED billboard in EDSA.
You were
That
the
was the
first one.
Paragon.
Yeah, the Paragon
The
here in
Paragon
Mandaluyong.
building. We launched that because I believe that it was really an emerging technology that needs to be introduced in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Because during that time, it's all about photographic
Yeah.
billboard. So I was doing a lot of research and studies on what is the most effective and the most newest technique in delivering message for advertisers.
Wow.
Communicating their brand messages, brand awareness. So I thought of coming up with, let's convert this static billboard into an LED, which is more engaging,
Great.
more eye-catching.
Yeah.
The more engaging and eye-catching, the more the message would be retained on the audience. So the first LED was presented 2005 in EDSA. That's the one in Paragon Plaza.
Oh wow. So you hopped on it instantly.
Yeah. So after that, everyone followed.
Oh wow.
Everyone followed.
That's
Then
amazing.
most of the industry followed, but their size is not the biggest ours. Then I came up with another innovation. We presented the first mobile billboard, the one on the truck.
Yeah. That was you adapted that first too.
Yeah, we introduced that and we invented that truck billboard. We call it the media runner. So it goes along EDSA, just drive and
Great.
and it's very tactical because you can use that in any events, in any parties, in any
super.
launches.
Exactly.
So that's another trend set that
Yeah.
everyone followed.
So you were encouraging creativity.
Yeah.
And then you were also on your toes of like, okay, what's the next new thing?
Yeah. So I'm so happy that people will say that, "Uy, ginaya ka oh. Ginagaya na kayo ng ano."
Yeah, right.
So I'm so happy when people
Say that.
talk to me about that, and I'm so happy because at least we are encouraging players to come in, and
Super.
there would be a lot more players on the field and on this
Yep.
new platform, and then finally the biggest LED was born.
And iconic.
And
Amazing.
after breaking that, everyone followed again.
Yeah. So what
we came
you
up with the LED building.
yeah the
on
other
buildings,
companies,
yeah.
right? So what you were doing basically is you empowered your team. Okay, let's do something creative, and then you're always pushing for progress. I think that's a key to grow anything that you're entrusted to, even if it's not a business, even if it's just your personal brand or maybe your personal business or personal career. I love how you valued pushing for progress. Because again, like Pastor James said on our last episode, he said that we will never plateau. If you're not pushing for growth, you'll decline.
Yeah, that's
and you've proven that in your business. So I love how you said that. Can you talk to me a little bit about you've touched on it a little bit, but can you talk to me a little bit about the importance of investing on others and really maintaining those relationships and building them? Even that the Chinese owner of the of that lot where Iconic stands, he said that they're still with you. They're still one of your close friends, and you actually got them as a sponsor to your wedding. And so, can you talk to me a bit about just that value in investing in people?
Yes. The value basically on investing people are priceless. You really cannot calculate or quantify the net effect
The
in
net
return.
effect. Yeah.
But the thing is, you can never go wrong in investing with people.
Amazing. That's
You
a
can never go wrong.
super.
People are the best assets that you have in any endeavor that you will,
In any industry.
in any industry. Either these people will come alongside you, or these people will be homegrown. You really have to invest on everything. Of course, investing on people is a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk on investing on people
That's right.
because you have to invest on everything on them,
Yeah.
even their personal problems. You have to invest in.
That's such a key leadership
But the
concept right
thing
there.
is, after investing, you really have to cultivate and dig deep by building by the relationship you had with them, and discover what are the best asset of this person that would be beneficial for the company,
Great.
for the organization.
That will also be beneficial for them.
That's
'Cause
right.
especially what you're doing, what you're saying is you want to discover what their true strengths are
Yeah.
so that they can utilize those strengths for the company. But at the same time, when they're working in their strengths,
Yeah.
they're also working to their full potential.
Yeah.
And so, how did you teach it, Joel? Siguro, maybe can you teach us a bit about, okay, how do you invest in people?
Investing doesn't only pertains to the salary package, but investing is everything, even your personal time.
Amazing.
Even you have to really take them to trips
Yeah.
abroad.
Yeah. Wow.
You have to do that and to establish loyalty, to establish trust, and then all of these things will really
Yeah.
boil down into one. It's a more solid, it's a more a strong, robust team that
Yeah.
anywhere you want to lead them, they would really go
Great.
with you and support with you all the way.
Amazing. Basically doing life together.
Yeah,
But
doing life
you don't
together.
only not only do you invest in your team, you also invest in people outside your team.
Correct.
Like for example, the owners of these lots that you're
the stakeholders.
Yeah, exactly.
The stakeholders.
So you're also building relationships with them.
correct,
Yeah.
and it's very important not to, especially these people. You really have to see them as someone alongside with you,
Great.
that you can never achieve any of your business target without these stakeholders. These are very essential part of every structure that you want to achieve.
Super.
So whether suppliers, whether government, whether clients, and anything that
Yeah.
would be involved in the business,
Super.
we really have to invest in them. Not only on money terms, but even if they invite you for their family event, you
Yeah.
come, you spend time with them.
Great.
And these are the things that are essential because it builds really something beyond business.
Which is
And,
more important.
Yeah, beyond business, and the business becomes just a natural, organic thing that automatically grows because
Yeah.
they are there.
It's an after effect.
It's an after effect. But the thing is, you never know how much value you have established in the lives of these people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's That's leadership in a nutshell. Leadership is relationship, and that's what you're saying. And leadership doesn't only mean you're leading those who are below you.
Yeah.
What you basically said was you're leading everyone around you. You're leading sideways.
Yeah.
You're leading up because you're establishing a relationship
Yeah.
with all them. Wow, there's so much gold. If you're watching this or you're listening to this, you can replay this and listen to all of that Tito Joel said, and there's just so much gold in tenacity, learning from your problems, boldness, innovation, investing in people. Love that. Maybe as a clincher question, as a last question, can you answer this question? What are the top 3 things that a person needs to grow from zero?
Okay.
Three quick.
Before
Yeah.
I answer that, of course, I have to establish first my personal mission and vision in life.
Great.
Once I know who I am and I know where I want to go, where I know where I'm heading, the 3 things I need in order for me to attain all those mission in my vision is, number 1, very important, is for me to have a tremendous amount of faith.
Amazing.
Tremendous amount of faith.
Take big risks.
Faith in God.
Yeah.
And faith in whatever God had blessed
Yeah,
me.
the
My
gift.
talents, my skills, the
Good,
people around
good,
me,
really
the people
good.
I love, all these things. You have to have faith because all of these things will serve as your fuel to drive.
Good. Really good.
Number 2 is that faith. Number 2 is that you need a lot of courage. A lot of courage because
Boldness.
you can never take risk. You can never take a bold decision
If you don't have,
if you don't have that courage. If you don't have that courage.
and that's what your story's about.
Yeah. Big lips, big jumps. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
So when opportunity presents, when problem presents, you look at that as opportunities, but you need to make a bold step.
Great.
And that needs a lot of courage.
Amazing.
The third is always be grateful. Always be grateful.
Wow.
Everything, be grateful. So whatever situation you're into, because there would be a lot of challenge, especially in people who wants to be in the business. There are times that you don't know where to get the salaries, the payroll. That's one big problem. You have to be thankful, grateful,
Great.
because it's the only way that will keep you coming back on where you started.
Amazing.
Looking back, how great, from good to better to great, and all the stages in your life. You have to be grateful, looking back on why you were on you're now. So
Yeah.
for me, it's always a time for me to be grateful and ask God. For me, asking God, being grateful to Him, and asking Him, why you're so mindful and you have brought me this far.
Amazing.
So with that, of course, everything, as we are grateful, we're brought down to go back to being humble,
Great.
and more things to come.
Yeah.
The
Super.
more responsibilities, the more
Opportunities.
opportunities
Amazing.
that God will present itself to you.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's
So
just
three,
like
three things. Very simple. I love it. I love how you started even with just know who you are and know what you want to do. And then I love what you said. You need to be full of faith, and you model this. You're full of faith. You're very courageous with that deal, holding thin air, and you presented the contract to them, and gratefulness. And you model that, Tito Joel. You're super grateful, super humble. You never forget where you came from, and you model that not just with words, but you model that with your generosity, with your spirit, and with your actions. Hey, Tito Joel, I want to thank you so much
Thank you,
for giving us the privilege to interview
I
you.
hope I inspired
Super.
you and the listeners.
I am personally gonna listen to this podcast again and take notes with what you said, because there was so much gold that you were spitting out, and I think all of our leaders can learn something from that. Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Grow Lead Go, how to grow from zero. Just a few practical questions that maybe you can answer in your own time, or maybe with your Connect group in your own time. Ask them these 3 questions as an application so that you could really embody and live out what you learn. Number 1, how do you want to make an impact in your life? Think about that. What is your mission and vision for your life? Number 2, what do you need to start investing in? Just like how did Joel start investing in his own character, what do you need to start investing in? And number 3, what 15-minute habit can you start doing now so that you can grow for tomorrow? Maybe answer those 3 things in your own time or with your Connect group so you can really apply what we've just learned in this episode. Hey, remember, you are meant for impact, and when you choose growth today, you're positioning yourself for a better tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Grow Lead Go.